The Wild West wasn't exactly known for its peaceful resolutions. More often than not, law and order were determined by who had the quickest draw. In this unforgiving land, stories of vengeance took center stage, creating some of the most gripping tales ever brought to the screen. Whether it's lone gunslingers chasing justice or wronged heroes with scores to settle, here are the 10 best revenge westerns that have ever been made. Netflix's The Harder They Fall made waves with its bold choice to feature an almost entirely non-white cast, bringing a fresh and fearless take to the Western genre. With stars like Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, and Zazie Beetz delivering standout performances, the film centers on real-life frontier figures like Bass Reeves, Stagecoach Mary, Rufus Buck, and Nat Love. The plot follows a man gathering his old crew to seek revenge after learning a notorious outlaw is being released from prison. This classic gem of a Western initially wasn't well known in the United States, since it previously never had a release there. Nevertheless, The Great Silence has gone on to be recognized as one of the best of its kind and boasts a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Featuring some grisly themes and done in a style that was considered too bleak for Western audiences, the film is now seen as being far ahead of its time for these very aspects. It's centered on a group of bloodthirsty bounty hunters who treat their outlaw targets as subhuman. Another instant cult hit from iconic director Quentin Tarantino, The Hateful Eight typically featured his distinctive brand of edgy dialogue, masterful tension building, and plenty of stylized violence. The film sets up a brilliantly intricate story of retribution and revenge, following the main cast and other ensemble characters as they are all thrown together at a haberdashery to wait out an intense blizzard. As the night passes and the tension builds between them, it soon becomes clear that all is not as it seems, setting up a nerve-wracking backdrop for when the bullets start flying. Clint Eastwood, a legend of the Western genre, has shown time and again why he's such an icon, both behind and in front of the camera. Among his many standout roles in Westerns, his 1992 revenge film Unforgiven ranks as one of his best. Directed by Eastwood himself, the film features an incredible cast, including Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, and the late Richard Harris. Eastwood plays a man haunted by his violent past who reluctantly takes on one last job, hunting down cowboys involved in the brutal assault of a sex worker. Another classic from Clint Eastwood, this Western again saw him at his best as he directed and starred in the gritty revenge film. Playing a man named Josie Wales, he has to sit back and watch helplessly when his wife and child are brutally murdered by Union men. Taking place during the Civil War, the film was heavily thematic and boasted a gritty take on that momentous period of history. After his family is killed, he becomes hell-bent on avenging them and joins the Confederacy as a result. Quentin Tarantino's rare genius as a filmmaker shines through again in Django Unchained, his stunningly crafted revisionist Western. Christoph Waltz plays a German dentist-turned-bounty hunter who frees Django from slavery, but instead of letting him go, he offers Django a partnership and some training in the bounty hunting game. Django's got his own mission, though, rescuing his wife. The only problem, she's being held by a notoriously brutal and racist slave owner on his estate. With an ensemble cast that included the iconic Steve McQueen and Charles Bronson, the film is often noted as one of the all-time greats of Western films. It was remade in 2016 in a revisionist version, but it's the original film that retroactively received a lot more acclaim. It featured the classic tale of a town who are terrorized by outlaws turned to a motley crew of fighters to defend them. If you're looking for classic westerns to watch, this one should definitely be high up on the list. One of the rare entries from this century, True Grit certainly deserves its spot here. Not only was it a splendid example of a revenge western, but it's usually also regarded as one of the best westerns ever made. Jeff Bridges shines as a washed-up, drunken gunslinger who teams up with a determined young girl to avenge her father's murder. The film's powerful performances and top-notch direction earned it widespread acclaim, with Haley Steinfeld playing the young girl grabbing an Oscar nomination. In total, True Grit racked up an impressive 10 Academy Award nominations. A true classic of the Western film world and one that made a permanent icon out of Clint Eastwood in the genre, this film remains one of the most iconic Westerns ever made. A sweeping tale of greed, it sees Eastwood play a now legendary cowboy known as Blondie, forms an uneasy alliance with an outlaw to search for a box containing a cache of stolen gold. Set against the backdrop of the Civil War, the film launched the reputation of Italian spaghetti western director Sergio Leone into superstardom. Once Upon a Time in the West is a western that was so iconic that it's often listed as one of the greatest films ever made across any genre. It tells the epic story of the significance of a single stretch of land, showing why running water and a spot along the railroad route made it so coveted. In the lead was a woman named Jill, who returns to Utah and finds that her entire family has been murdered. Seeking revenge, she hires a gunman to take on the perpetrators, who are led by a ruthless leader played by Henry Fonda.